Well. I hope you got that. That was, of course, Seal saying something that we know to be the truth. That is, that it is amazing. Notably, it is amazing that you are here. And you're here from right around the world, which is even more amazing. And we're going to be having some superbly amazing people as well. By the way, you'll notice I'm surrounded by balloons. There's all sorts of reasons for that. Not just that we're launching or celebrating the launch of a book, but actually B1G1 today is 12 years old. So kids got up last night and were blowing up balloons. Some of them have fallen down. So I'm surrounded by balloons right now. So let's do this. Let's talk about that. We were talking about how amazing this all is, but I want to show you actually how really amazing this all is, because last night we were checking what was going on the web, as you do when you launch books and things. And have a look at this. Look. This is Amazon new releases, and lots of things there, but I'm just going to blank out a few of them. And look at that. Legacy, the Kindle copy, #1 in business ethics. You can see it right there. And how about this? Beautifully surprising, the hard copy as well. #4 in terms of new releases. Now, I don't know what you do when you see stuff like that, but what I do is go, yippee! So you might want to do that up on the chat as well. Oh, and by the way, there was another little yippee as we get into the launch of this amazing book. Look at that. There it is, #1 bestseller on the Australian store. So not just right across the world, #1 and #4. So pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? And well done, everybody, for making that happen. Now, in terms of making that happen, let's do this. Let's get you involved in making it happen. So jump up on the chat. We've got people monitoring the chat, and we want to know where you are now. And this is a pertinent subject when we're talking about legacy. What's the weather like where you are? Let us know. Jump up on the chat. Let me see the chat coming in. Lots and lots of chat going, I hope. Let's see. We go. Yes, do jump up on the chat. Look at that. Mag, sleepless in Seattle, indeed. Sonia from Perth. Christopher, thank you for your birthday wishes. Deborah, yippee. And so many more messages. Anyway, someone will be monitoring that on the chat. So with that in mind, let's talk about what this is all about. It's all about those things, those 17 global goals, or sometimes called the Sustainable Development Goals. And just to get into this, one of the things we'd love you to be able to do is to connect with the importance of those goals. And to do that, we have got 3 people standing by, 3 of the authors of the book you're going to be meeting this morning. But let's just do something kind of interesting, because this was something that we looked at on our Facebook page earlier this week, where we were talking about something that happened in Singapore, where someone said, in fact, in a place called Temasek, they said, what if we make it even more connecting? And we put it in the ABC form, like that. Look at that. So active economy, productive jobs, sustainable cities, fulfilling lives. So I just want to give you this context, because this is the context of what legacy is all about. Producing resilient individuals, inclusive communities, and by the way, Jody is going to be talking about this later on, a just society. And look at that, fresh air. Who wouldn't want to sign up, if you will, for something like that? Fresh air, clean water, and a cool world. So that's a way of looking at these 17 global goals. One of the things you'll notice when you get the book is that all of these things are interrelated. So this whole thing about focusing on one goal might not be, well, when you focus on one, you actually impact everything. There is a ripple effect. And so what we're going to be doing this morning, courtesy of the authors joining us, is we are going to look at 3 there, plus Masami is going to have something to say about goal number 17. So this is who we'll be meeting in just a moment. We'll be meeting Doug out of Miami, Deanne, who's down there in Melbourne, and Jody, who's also in Miami. But ahead of that, let's do this. Let's just remind you what the Legacy book is all about. Enjoy this for 3 minutes. Hello, and thank you for being here. I'm Paul Dunn, and I'm the chairman of the Global Giving Initiative, B1G1, Business for Good. My purpose here is to introduce you to an extraordinary book. It's called legacy. And it's not just about leaving one. It's about really living one and leveraging your legacy as well. And central to doing that are these: the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 17 critical targets that we have to achieve by 2030. And in this fascinating book, you're guided through those goals by 52 amazing change makers from around the world. Come and meet some of them right now.
I am committed to us creating sustainability in all aspects of our lives, our businesses, and our world.
We all have the capability of helping someone in need.
Every single business can change the world, regardless of what they do, where they're based, how big they are.
And just by giving a small amount on a regular basis, we really can create amazing impacts in the lives of others.
To end hunger.
To improve the quality of education.
No poverty.
Good health and well-being for all at any age and any stage of life.
Gender equality.
I want to see a world where pay equality for women is no longer an agenda.
Life underwater.
Life on land.
Sustainable cities.
Peace, justice, and strong institutions.
We have a wonderful opportunity right now in this world with the Sustainable Development Goals. 17 goals with a simple objective to irreversibly eradicate poverty and do that in a more sustainable and equitable way.
I believe that it is going to take the joint efforts of businesses, nonprofits, and governmental entities to do something about ending poverty and helping protect our natural environment.
When that happens, we will easily achieve every single one of the UN Global Goals.
If we all work together to make this a better world for everyone, including the plants and animals, what an amazing world we will live in.
This really is a book that helps you, your family, your business, your friends, and your community make a difference. Not just to you, but to people we'll never even get to meet. The new Legacy book really is a must-read. Be sure to get yours as soon as you can. And so many of you have already done that. That is to get your copy. That's where you go to get it. Let me just come back live now. Again, that little Legacy book, the Legacy video just really encapsulates what this is all about. But what we want to do right now is really get you inside Legacy. And the best way we can do that is to get you to meet some of the authors. By the way, Masami, whilst you're there, did you just want to say hi and everything else just ahead of this meeting, Doug?
Hi, great to see you, and great to see all the panelists here today. Some of the featured first. I would like to thank you all for being on this call, because this is really a celebration of the giving spirit in the B1J1 community, and also having some of the global leaders participating in this book, and they are really excited about the amazing message this book can bring to many business people and the leaders around the world. So by you being part of this B1J1 initiative and the movement, it allows us to create amazing things like this. And I hope you will be, choose to be part of future projects that's coming up from here as well. So thank you so much for being here. And back to you, Paul.
Masami, thank you. So let me just start sharing my screen just for a second so that we make sure that the authors, and by the way, you may have some questions for the authors, in which case you might want to put them up on the chat as well. So let's talk about where we're going to begin today. And we are going to begin with this particular goal here. You can see it there, life below water. And we're going to learn about what in the book you will see this man calls a whale of a tale. This man is Doug Barrow. You can see up there what Doug's credentials are. You can see he has, and one of the great things about Doug as you read what's up there is that like so many members of the community here in B1G1, Doug has become a real friend. And one of the things that we see that Doug doing, as you can see on that background piece there, is helped hundreds of business owners create successful businesses. And don't you love why Doug gets up in the morning? You can see it down there. Doug, we are so thrilled that you got up this morning as well to talk about life below water. And I'm wondering if, Doug, it's significant that you're joining us from Miami. Does that impact, or did that impact your views on the importance of this particular goal?
Well, absolutely, Paul. Being in Miami, we are all about the water. We're right on the water. I live only a couple of blocks away from the water. And one of the stories that I tell in the book is when I first got married to my wife, Jody, her son is a commercial fisherman, and he goes out and goes fishing, and he's a boat captain, and he's an amazing young man. And he was telling me a story one day about how he had found and often finds seagulls all wrapped up in the 6-pack containers from cans. And how all you have to do is cut them, and that won't happen. And it's not just seagulls, but it's other animals too. But the seagulls are the ones that really got to me, because I was like, these absolutely majestic birds that, they get caught up in this thing, and there's no way for them to get out. And they'll literally starve to death because it'll get around their neck, and they can't swallow the fish, and that's it. They're done for. And something as simple as taking the 6-pack and cutting the rings so that it can't get around the neck and get stuck there takes 3 seconds. And, I started doing that, and I started actually going, hey, wait a minute, there is an impact to what we do as far as our waste. And we need to be paying attention to that, because it makes a big difference.
Well, Doug, in the book, you talk about the 3 R's, and we might just give you a brief overview of that. But I was looking also in the book, and one of the things we quote in the book is that there are 51, according to research, 51 trillion. Just think how many zeros that is. Particles of floating microplastic are in our oceans, and over 100,000 marine animals die every year just from the thing that you were just talking about. So the question is, Doug, what are we going to do about it? And I know you write in detail on this in the book, but give us an overview of some of the simple things we can do.
Well, like you mentioned, the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse.
Let's get writing those down. What is it again, Doug? There's 3 R's. Write them down here now. Come on and stick them up in your office today. Give us what they stand for again.
Reduce, recycle, and reuse.
Okay. Take us through.
Right. So, yeah, reducing, really looking at what is it that you're using that is not being consumed, right? We really have to take a look at this in our society. I'm amazed about how much trash gets thrown out, right? So if we reduce the amount of trash that we throw out, that helps. If we reuse things instead of just use them once and throw them away, and recycle as much as possible, and also buy things that are recycled. So often I see people pass over the thing that was made out of the recycled stuff for the stuff that's new because it looks a little brighter, or for some reason it's better because it's brand new, it's not recycled. I am always looking for how can I get things that are recycled or made out of recycled materials. I need something for the office. I first go look and see, can I get it used from someone else? Because they weren't using it anymore, and rather than throw it away, they decided to, pass it on to someone else or sell it to someone else. So I'm looking for how can I get those things to reuse them and put them back into service for myself.
Fantastic. And Doug, the contribution in the book is just stunning, and you can feel what's really great in the book, Doug, is when you read your piece, you feel the passion that you exude right here. Now, you can, that is to say, everyone joining us now, if you've got a particular question for Doug about life in Miami, or life underwater, that is, then you may, or below water, as the goal says, then pop them up on the chat, and we'll be sure to collate those questions, and we maybe have time today to take a look at them. So, Doug, thank you so much for being here. What I need to do quickly is just get another author online, and just to do that, let me do this. Let me just share my screen again. This is so cool, you know, being online and being able to chat with people like this. This is life on land. And here's the person that you're going to meet. This is Deanne. Deanne, I love the little thing above your background bio, where it says the forests are our lungs, the animals are our heart. And you can read right there some of the great things about Deanne. Deanne is really important to us, like every member is, but Deanne even a little bit more, because as you can see right there, she's a board member of B1G1, and she does amazing things assessing the causes that want to become B1G1 approved causes. And she's also writing another book. Look at that, as you can see. Deanne, it is awesome to have you here. So I'm going to stop my share so that we can get to you. There we go. There we go.
There, how's that?
That's good.
There you go.
So Deanne, tell us about your particular interest in this goal 15, life on land.
Look, actually, before we start, I just wanted to add to everybody that Dean Publishing did an amazing job putting us all together. Like, we sent our bits in, they wrote the intros to each chapter, and it tied it together so well. So I just wanted to especially say thank you to Dean Publishing. It's amazing. Yep. But for me, the reason I chose that Life on Land goal was because I went on that Borneo trip for B1G1 in July 2018 before the Singapore conference. Now, I mean, for years you hear these statistics, you know, 27 soccer fields worth of rainforest disappear because every minute, you know, illegal mining, palm oil plantations, deforestation. And I mean, I've even clicked on campaigns on Facebook, you know, stop using palm oil products, or get the government to amend the labelling rules so we know when we're using palm oil products that aren't from sustainable production. But to actually see with my own eyes what it looks like when a rainforest has been cleared away, and just, I mean, even now it gives me goosebumps. It just changes everything. It became such a reality. And while we were in Borneo, an orangutan was shot on a palm oil plantation. Now, this palm oil plantation, you don't sort of, until you've seen it, the forest goes, and then all of a sudden there's plantations. There's no buffer zone. There's no, like, you know, any indication to the orangutans that this isn't actually, you know, this is the end of the forest, and then it becomes a farm. Yep. And they get shot. And it's illegal to get shot, but it's also very hard to prove or prosecute. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that, but it's not all doom and gloom, because actually when we were over there, we went and saw Friends of the National Park, and they actually work on they actually buy rainforest as part of one of their projects. You can buy a hectare of rainforest in Borneo for $500 US, which is great. But they said to us the best way to save the rainforest is to buy it, because if they buy it, the palm oil plantations can't. And the people that worked for them, they were just so beautiful. These are villages that once were illegal loggers. You know, they had, you know, changed, and they cared for the rainforest, but they're not earning as much money now as they could have, but they're doing it because they know that's what's right. So even though these people were poor, they were choosing to do what was right over financial gain, and that was just amazing. And it's their sacrifice helps us as well.
Yeah, you're right, Jan. Do you want to just stop your share just for a second?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, and again, your passion comes in the book. But I remember being in Borneo and meeting some of the people that you were just talking about, and here's a guy standing in front of a bulldozer, and he's saying, "You've got to run me down first," you know. So there's just amazing things happening, and thank you so much for sharing that experience. Talking of experience, what's the experience been like being a part of Legacy as an author?
I must admit, it's not the easiest thing to write when you're actually we actually sit down and write. I'm very good at procrastinating, but the support that we had with everybody else, the authors, we kind of had meetings as well. And also when you sent it to Dean Publishing, they sent some changes back, and they had to make changes because a lot of people, we all wrote like similar things in some areas. Like I can't remember how many people said, you know, if you teach someone to fish, you'll feed them for life in there. So, you know, there was a coordinating and making 52 people's books not repetitive and yet still have the same messages that the authors wanted isn't an easy task, but it's just amazing. And I'm so proud we got to #1 last night. That was really exciting.
Yeah, wasn't that cool? Well, thank you so much for your part in it, Deanne. Fabulous, fabulous. I'm going to come back to you just a minute. By the way, if you have some questions for Deanne, pop them up on the chat. Lots of stuff going on in the chat. Thank you so much, Masami, for monitoring that. And by the way, everybody, thank you so much, yes, for the call out to Dean Publishing. Without their work, this just would not be here, and without their passion. Talking of passion, allow me, if I could, to just share my screen again for a little moment here. And so where we want to go to get to our third author is someone who is amazingly passionate about what they do. And Jody, who you're about to meet, is one of the people who, and you'll read about this in the book actually, who is largely responsible for so many of the people that are now part of B1G1 in the US. And it comes back to a meeting in Bali. Let's talk a little bit about Jody. There you go. You can see her right there. And that is just a little bit right there. I want to add something to that, which is really gets to the heart of legacy, I think. Or let's just say the book. All of us as authors, about, I guess, 2 or 3 months ago, we got to see the first sample chapter. And here I was sitting in my home office. It was maybe about 10 o'clock at night, and my phone rang, and I noticed it was from the US, and it was Jody. Jody, can you remember that call and tell us a little bit about what happened when you read that first chapter in let me just, by the way, welcome Jody. There you go. We can see you now. When you read that first chapter in Legacy.
Well, I got the email with that first chapter and read it and was so moved to tears that I had to call you. I didn't even know or care what time it was to reach out to you and Masami, because the scope of impact that is possible out of all of the chapters in this book worldwide was so moving that I was in tears, and I had to thank you. I had to thank you and Masami for what you've created that's allowed this generosity, this giving spirit to begin to expand around the world in ways we can only begin to imagine what the impact will be over time. And I even now, I'm thinking about it. It's very moving. So thank you both for that. And then also to all of the other people that participate in B1G1 in small and large ways to make this world a better place.
Yeah, you know, it's thank you for that, Jody. And again, people watching us now can feel your passion. You mentioned that one of the things that when you look at your particular chapter on Goal 16, and I know you have this almost activist kind of way of thinking about things, but I mean that in a sort of a heartfelt way. And you mentioned that there were a couple of quotes that you mentioned in the book that kind of say it all, without saying it all, obviously, because you say a lot more than this, but that get you kind of get you focused on some of the crucial ideas here.
Well, there are 2 quotes that I have in my particular area of this chapter, and one of them is from Martin Luther King. He says, "There is no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in human will." And that really speaks to the level of resignation or cynicism that people have. And what's so great about B1G1 is that you can take an action in a small way and make a significant impact. It doesn't have to be this great big huge thing, that has to happen. It can be a small action that moves in a direction that builds momentum.
Yeah.
So I think that for all of us, myself included, there was a time when it was just, like somebody else will do it, or I don't have time for that, or I'm not ready maybe when I'm older or whatever. But the lack is in the human will, and we can't, as a world city, tolerate that in ourselves. I can't tolerate that in myself anymore. Right?
Yeah.
The other quote is from Buckminster Fuller, and he says,
His birthday
"You never
was
change."
a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, I love him, right? So he says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And I think that speaks to, both, the way you and Masami took the philanthropic model and flipped it on its head and gave a platform for many people to contribute small amounts versus a few people that were giving larger amounts, and then gave access. That platform expanded, exponentially. And the other is the model of the Sustainable Development Goals, where now people can collaborate across countries, across technology, across communication channels, in order to be able to make significant impacts, both locally and globally, through this new model that engages us all.
Wow, brilliantly put, and lovely sort of contextual thing to why Legacy is such an important book. And just by, I was listening to you again, and to Deanna and to Doug, it's stuff that moves us towards a new reality. Masami, did you want to comment on some of this? Because I know we also want to get our audience involved, our launchers, as it were, involved in choosing a couple of things and by running a poll. So we'll do that in just a second. But Masami, would you like to add some things to this now?
Well, actually, during this short, brief call, we can only talk about a few of the goals. And actually, all of the 17 goals are equally important and have a different issues, complex issues behind those goals. And there are so many things we need to solve and tackle. So if we think of it, then one thing that telling us is that only way for us to collectively move forward is to come together, because no one single approach is the right way or the one only way. So with this book project, what we try to do is to kind of really embrace that also business community is so diverse. Like there are so many different businesses doing what they do, and somehow these business owners started very different businesses because they cared about the different issues, or they wanted to achieve something quite unique to them. So by allowing and empowering every business to find their own way to make a difference and care about something and spread the message. And if we can do this collectively and let every business people know, around us, that they themselves could be inspired by doing this and making a positive impact in the world. So I'm really grateful for the book to come together, because book is a very easy, simple way to say, hey, like here's a very interesting book, and it's a business book, but it has a new dimension. And if people felt just a little bit interested in reading a book, instead of you trying to convey this entire giving initiative or community, so I would love to see the book to be a useful tool for all of us to spread the message. And then I hope more of the B1G1 members and partners around the world would engage in this, because we have something interesting potentially coming up because of the success of this book. So yeah, we are really looking forward to taking this further.
And isn't it great to have three of the authors with us here now? Masami, I know that one of the things you mentioned to me is you wanted to get, if we can get our audience involved, and you wanted them to choose something. Here is the poll. Masami, do you want to, well, let's put the poll up, and here's the question which you should see on your screen, okay? Hopefully you're seeing it. And with the launch, then, and courtesy, by the way, of the authors, courtesy of Doug, courtesy of Diane, courtesy of Jody, then what's going to happen is some very significant giving is going to be done, courtesy of those three people. So we want to figure out, where should that giving go? And so jump up online. There you go. Look at that. Masami's giving you how many options? Wow, that's a lot of options. Yeah, and you can choose 3. Okay. So I'm not sure whether you can see what's happening, but I certainly can. And I can tell you, wow, it's really interesting how it's spreading around. So we'll give you another, 15 seconds to get up there. Go on, jump up. Come on.
And by the way, this is, the creating an impact is not just with this call, but every copy of a book being purchased, if it was printed one, even though we want to encourage, the digital one, but if you want to get the paper copy, then every copy of the book sold will plant a tree. And then all the digital books will help educate the children around the world as well. And right now we are running a very special promotion of $99 on Kindle as a launch offer. But 100% of all the proceeds goes to education for the children as well. So
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Let me just, there we go. The poll is now ended. So, Masami, I think we were going to, you were going to pick the top 3.
You can show the results if you can poll. Then I'm going to do a quick calculation.
There you go. The results. So it looks like clean water was up there.
Tell me the top 3.
I certainly can. I certainly can. So access to clean water was 71% of people went there. Next one is, and there's a double second, and that would be plant a tree to protect habitat and help educate a disadvantaged child. Those were the top 3. Okay.
So I can do an instant update if you want for the giving impact.
Go ahead and share your screen. Go ahead. Let's have a look. Are you doing that on your screen, or what are you doing there with that?
No, I'm just going to tell you.
Oh, you're going to tell us. Okay. But before you tell us, by the way, before you tell us, by the way, the fact that Doug and Jody and Diane have been here, and I have the privilege of being here with all of the people joining us, and all of the many more people who are going to be impacted by this book. And so I mentioned a minute ago that Diane and Doug and Jody have made possible the giving that we're going to do, and Masami is going to tell us about in just a second. But Masami, I'd love to kind of double that up. Can I do that? Is that okay?
Sure. So you're going to double this figure?
We can say, well, we'll say it's an anonymous person, okay? So,
okay, anonymous person. Okay, anonymous.
I didn't handle the anonymous part too well. I should have said, oh, look, I've just got a note from anonymous. Anyway, there you go.
Right. So as a result of this call, actually 100 trees will be planted. And from this, there will be more happening. And then 1,000 days of access to education will be given to children in multiple countries. And then we would have 20,000 days of access to water as well. So just in the last half an hour or so, we created this many impacts. And imagine if we made, creating this impact part of everything we did in our business, what we can achieve together.
Whoa, and David mentions trees, water, and education are the keys. Now, Masami, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run another video right now, or at least in a little while. And thank you. Yeah, it is awesome. So what you might be able to do when I do that is if you just want to put those numbers, if you can remember them, put them on the chat so everybody can see those numbers. that have happened just as a result of you being here and of those three wonderful authors being here to give you that inside sort of look at legacy. So, Masami, let me just jump in here for a second and share my screen. There we go. And hopefully my screen is the right one this time, honestly, goodness. So I think it is. Yes, it is. It is. We can do it. So one of the things that I meant to mention, by the way, is that one of the things that B1G1 is all about is that's last goal, the partnerships for the goal or for the goals. And so by doing all of this, we are really bringing a lot of people together in partnership and making some great things happen. Now, there are people on the call who actually don't know about the great things that happen. So let's just do this. Let's just take a look, and then we're going to give you something that we want everybody to do as a result of being here. So let's just share this and remind ourselves that it's really about making a difference, and it's really about making an impact. And legacy the legacy book is really going to kick that ahead in really interesting ways. Take a look at this.
Today, B1G1 works with close to 3,000 businesses globally. And these businesses are solving different problems and adding value to their customers in their own unique ways. The great news is that we are celebrating over a decade of giving and nearly 200 million giving impacts this year. 200 million giving impacts sounds like an impressive number, so it's easy to overlook the real meaning of this achievement. In the world of B1G1, your giving really matters. We see that each impact is in fact a smile that you create, and these tiny impacts really transform lives around the world.
ខ្ញុំមានអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់និយាយទៅហ្វាគឺធំទូលំទូលាយព្រោះហ្វាផ្លាស់ប្ដូរជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំសង្ឃឹមថាខ្ញុំនឹងអាចជួយអ្វីខ្លះដោយហ្វានេះសប្តាហ៍នេះខ្ញុំអាចជួយបន្តិច
They've changed my life. I'm 100 times better than I was before. I've gained all my family back. I've gained respect, and I've got a good life now.
I would like to say thank you to teacher, B1G1 team, and all my friends. After my mother passed away, nobody supported me to study. I really say thanks for the scholarship, so I have the chance to study. I promise that I will try to study to achieve my goal, and I will commit to help my family and all the people in my country. Thank you.
Come some numbers. Yeah, it's hard to watch that without realizing why we need a book like Legacy, right? So, Masami, and what I'd love to do is go back to Doug and to Jody and to Diane, and just for some final thoughts. And then, by the way, we've got one more thing that we want you all to do. In fact, why don't I, whilst I I'll go to you guys first, but stay tuned because there's one more thing I want you to do. By the way, it just occurs to me, having watched that every single one of us, those of us who are in B1G1, might want to jump up online and just say, as a way of saying thank you to the guys for being here. Might actually do a little bit of giving as well. Interesting way of kind of locking everything in. But there's one more thing we need to do after we get some final thoughts from Doug, from Diane, and from Jody. Doug, any final thoughts from you?
I think what I would like to just say is that we can all participate in making a difference. And, you know, the more you can do to cut down your waste, and if you're a business, go paperless, as I said in the chat, you know, really create recycling in your business. Look for using more glass rather than plastic, you know, real plates instead of paper plates, all of these sorts of things. The more you can do that, the more you can really make a difference for the community. And, you know, if we keep, you know, destroying our oceans, the oceans give us everything. The oceans give us all of our water. They give us all of our oxygen. They give us pretty much everything that we need to survive on this planet. And if they're dead, we're dead. So we need to really take care of our oceans.
Yeah, we need to make it all happen by 2030 at least. And as you would know, Doug, some of the goals on life below water have just been updated as well. So you know, it's interesting to see the progressions that are being made. Again, Doug, thank you for your leadership on this. Dion, thank you too for reminding us of what happens around us. You know, sometimes we're not close to water, but we're close to land the whole time. And it was lovely to see the background there on Borneo. Any final thoughts from you?
I just want to say, like, this is such an amazing opportunity for us. These goals were put together for a reason. And I mean, how exciting would it be in 2030 to turn around and look at the forests, mountains, drylands, wetlands, everything conserved and restored? I mean, that's the kind of legacy that I want to leave for my children.
and you live that every day. You know, one of the things we used to say about B1G1, and it's worthwhile saying again, is every second, every day, and in every way. Right, and we really can do something. And thank you for bringing that to the fore for us. Jody, people felt what I felt when I first met you in Bali, and you said, as I recall, how can we end hunger in Miami, and can you get on the plane to help that happen? You remember that? So, and you might want to unmute yourself, Jody, if you can, just for a second. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
So, Jody, final thoughts from you, and thank you for being here this morning too, or this evening, as in Miami. Yes.
It was actually, it's my honor. I think for me, I think one of the most important things is to remember, because this is on peace and justice, that peace actually starts at home. One of the things I realized is that the dynamics that create war in the Middle East are the same dynamics that create war in my home. And the dynamics that create peace in my home are the same dynamics that create peace in the Middle East. And so we can begin here in our homes, how we interact with our spouses, our children, our family members, to be able to create the way of being that allows for peace to prevail on earth. And I believe that when people have their needs met, the most natural thing is for others to be of service. And this is a platform for us to be able to do that, but that we don't need war when people have their needs met. And we don't need war when we can communicate and resolve differences but with respect and with love and through effective communication. Yeah. So that's just practice peace at home.
I read something. Thank you, Jody. And again, you move me. And I read something the other day that said, how you do anything is how you do everything. Right? So it's those little tiny things that we do each day. Masami, by the way, everybody joining us right now, before we give you this one thing that we want to do, I cannot tell you the amount of work and effort and love and care that Masami has put into this. And every one of the authors know that there almost wasn't a day when you didn't get an email from Masami, you know, sort of urging you on and stuff like that. So Masami, let's go to you for some final thoughts before we get that one final action that we're going to get to in just a moment.
I I think this book is really the expression of what we do here at B1G1, and that's why it was so important to us and so important to the to all of the authors who participated, and also to the community as well. So yeah, I just feel today really grateful, and it's great that the book became a best-selling book on Amazon, currently trending there. But not only that, we want this book to continue to have the impact that it can have, because it's a way to say, or actually, small people and small businesses like ours can really align with the global goals today. It's not the big ones and the big companies and the big charities that would fix all the problems, or government that will fix the problem for us. But now it's time that we all recognize that we are the ones who can be making that impact. And this book is a very important symbol, because UN released the SDGs, but we haven't really had enough that this is actually relevant for small businesses. So we can do this by spreading the message of this book. So yeah, really, thank you so much for making it possible, everybody, by being part of this. And those of you who are on the call, thank you so much for being on the call. And yeah, I hope to continue to work on this journey together. So
exactly. And Masami, I'm just looking at the chat, which I haven't had a chance to do because I've been looking at so many other buttons, but just thank you everybody for all your thoughts up there. Wow, we are so privileged to be doing this. And I'm reminded of another quote, which goes something like this: we are actually the ones that we've been waiting for. And I think that legacy is just this expression of that, and its expression. And Doug was talking about, the ripples kind of thing that actually ripples out. Now we can actually start that ripple today. Well, actually give it a little bigger ripple, if you will. So here's the final thing that we would love you to do before we get to our little thank yous and stuff like that. And by the way, thank you everybody. They were brilliant summations that you just did. So let me share right here. And this is the final little slide. And there you go. If you haven't already done it, you've got, I think, about 20 hours left. Jump up there. And Masami, where do people find the link? Can we make sure and pop that in the
easiest place to go is b1g1.com/legacy, because it's got all the links to find Amazon stores, because the links to Australia, UK, and US are different. So you
and I think I may have a note of that right there. There you go. Yes, there you go. Look at that. b1g1.com/legacy. How simple is that? So one of the things that is very challenging to do when you're connecting like this is to say farewell to everybody and to thank you so much for being here. Really, it's very hard for us sometimes to convey what it means to be able to connect with you like this. It's just an amazing privilege and an honor to be doing this. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody in B1G1 and all of the great authors and the guest authors that you'll read about in Legacy as well, for making this project not just an awesome project, but an awesome statement, as Masami said and Jody said, of what we all can do. Thank you, everybody. Make sure your day, the rest of it, is a fabulous one, and be inspired by all of the things that you learned today. Thank you, everybody. It's been awesome being here. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.